The student loan crisis is currently at an all-time high, where the total debt stands at $1.59 trillion. About 42.9 million Americans take out federal student loans, averaging at about $30,000 per borrower. Additionally, student defaults are increasing each year. Student loan defaults occur when an individual is unable to repay a loan in the agreed terms. This results in the government garnishing paychecks, Social Security, and tax returns that will be applied to repay your loan. With rising tuitions, unaffordable repayment plans, and student loan defaults, it makes it difficult for those to pay back their college debt, which creates issues for the individuals and the economy.
There are two main populations affected by student debt, and these two are women and minorities. A study was done that showed as of 2019, women working full-time earn approximately 82% of what men are paid. And within the first 4 years after graduation, men paid off an average of 38% of their outstanding debt, while women paid off 31%. And only 56% of white students had to borrow federal loans compared to 71% of African American students.
Please watch the following video that goes into further depth towards the concern of the current student loan crisis. Think about how you can relate to the topic and your thoughts on increasing tuition. Let's take a look at Monmouth University's cost and fees. We have seen a tuition increase of about 46% just in the past 10 years. The 2021 undergraduate tuition has risen by 2.75% from the previous year. Similarly, Natalia Abrams explains a case of 30% increase in a different university where she sees many struggling to afford their senior year of college, 2 of them being forced to drop out. Reflect on this as you review the rest of this lesson. Student debt after graduation creates a social issue that holds power over individuals, families, and lifestyles. Many, even before graduation, feel anxious and burdened by their debt, how much money they will owe, how they will pay it, and how it will affect their lives. Many graduates find it a struggle to find affordable housing, purchase a car, support their families, and much more. In an article by Time titled, "Why is it so hard to forgive student debt?" Jill Heaps discusses the hardships of her student debt. She had been paying $700 a month in payment loans. She reveals how she was unable to get married, buy a house, and found difficulty prioritizing other payments with her debt. The burden of student loans strains borrowers who are just beginning their lives, which in the long run will affect their credit scores and purchasing power, which hurts the economy.
There are two main ethical issues regarding student debt, one of them being tuition inflation and financial illiteracy. So in years past, scholarship and aid would be given to help pay tuition and student loans. But now tuition is rising at an increasingly fast rate, and the scholarship amounts are not correlating with that rise. And since the scholarship amounts are not rising, but tuition is rising, it's becoming harder to pay off student debt because people are not getting much help. And a leader of the FDIC stated that one of the biggest causes of the student debt crisis is that Americans haven't seen a raise in years. The second ethical issue that exists is financial illiteracy. There are very few, if any, educational classes that talk about loans and how to successfully pay for college. Many do not understand what the different types of loans mean, and more do not know how to go about applying for scholarships. And most students have an unrealistic idea of what they will make for their first job after graduating, which makes it difficult to pay off the debt.
Student loan debt reform is important in regard to the increasing debt. President Joe Biden has extended the federal student loan repayments through January 2022. He also plans to cancel up to $10,000 in student loan debt per borrower. This is able to provide relief towards student loan borrowers to help them in the long run to decrease loan defaults and delinquencies. An economist, Susan Dynarski, who advocates for an income contingent repayment system, thinks that this can help student loan crisis. Linking loan repayment to rising or falling wages and extending the time to pay back the debt, this system would enable students to pursue new futures for their generation. This can result in less worrying about their loans during their young adult years, when they make the least money and they are most economically vulnerable.
The Earned Student Loan Repayment Program is a program that would not forgive loans, but instead it would have part of the individual's earnings from their salary paid to the loan instead. Researchers stated that the goal of this tax proposal is to provide a rational manner for student loan borrowers to repay their loans that would yield positive economic outcomes for the employer, employee, and society as a whole. And this program would end up benefiting everyone, and both the employer and employees would save on their taxes.
Graduating from Monmouth in 2019, I would say that a four-year school is worth the cost and debt that you might end up with after you graduate, as long as you're okay with knowing that what you get out of a four-year school is what you put into it. I think a community college is still a great option for people with other obligations, whether it's financial aid wise or just other things going on in your life at the time where you want to go to a community college first and then maybe transfer to a four-year university like halfway through your program or something like that. And you'll still end up with the same four-year degree as you would at a four-year school. I think it would be extremely beneficial for the grace period on student loans, repayment and interest to be extended. Obviously, COVID-19 affected a lot of people in many different ways, and people losing jobs, other things going on in people's lives. Sometimes it's hard for people to meet those deadlines and pay student loans throughout a time that has affected so many people. I don't think I had enough knowledge to apply for the right scholarships. When you're in 10th, 11th, 12th grade, of course, in high school, preparing for college, a lot of the focus, I feel, is on your GPA and your grades, the SAT, making your applications look good with your essays and the SAT scores. And, of course, those things are important, but I feel like high school doesn't really teach you about scholarships and how to apply for the right ones.